Hi. What's up, fam? Brandon Walker. More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country. It is bright in here today. I did not complain about the brightness before I got on here, so nobody turned the lights down. But it's okay. It's not too bright. Feeling good. 3 days away from Mississippi State playing Alabama. 3 days away from Mississippi State having the biggest game of the season, 7-2, going against number 1 Alabama. Hey, State comes in number 16 in the second college football playoff poll. I have no problem with that. You know, State 16 last week, didn't play very well against UMass, so I have no issue with State being ranked number 16. Today on the show, we'll talk about Mississippi State and Alabama. How running the ball is usually a recipe for disaster against Alabama, but however, that is Mississippi State's recipe for a possible victory this week. That's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to figure out how to do it, and we'll talk about that. Today, we'll also talk about what's on the agenda here? We will talk about Alabama. Is this the toughest game they played? Greg McElroy and Marcus Spears of the SEC Network say yes, and I agree with them. It's by far the toughest opponent Alabama has faced so far this year, and I don't even think there's a question about it. Then maybe we'll talk a little bit about something that happened yesterday on Twitter. Maybe a little Twitter beef I had with a certain other person in the Mississippi State universe. We'll talk about that. I like your SEC Country pullover. Thank you. It's a jacket, but thank you for noticing. It's a full coat. It's very warm. I'm not sure why I'm wearing it. Hail State from Algoma, Mississippi, up in Pontotoc County. Good to have Algoma here. I understand there's a lot of beautiful deer that live in Algoma. A lot of beautiful wildlife in Algoma. It's a lovely place. Hail State from Van Cleve, Mississippi, down on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. At least I think that's where it is. Hail State from Arkansas. Hello, Pamela Hilliard. Obadiah, Mississippi. Scotty Hatcher is here. Good to have everybody. Seymour, Indiana. Thank you. Gina Stedman Clarity. Thank you for being here. Gina. Yeah, it got interesting on the old Twitter yesterday after this show. That's what it did. Got real interesting on the Twitter machine. I don't know. I'm going to be... Cameron Crockett says he's checking in from Stingray, Mississippi. That's funny. That is funny. Hello from Houston, Mississippi. Hello, Chickasaw County. Always good to have Chickasaw County. How do you feel about your own SEC family calling you out yesterday on the Alabama game? I didn't see anybody calling me out on the Alabama game. Did somebody call me out? I missed it if they did. I had a lot of people calling me out yesterday. Yesterday was a busy day. Yesterday, things got a little heated. Hail State from Coffeeville, Mississippi. You have a podcast? He doesn't. Enough said. Well, can't say enough said because there's still something to say, something I have to say. Point City, hello. Thank you for being here. Scotty Hatcher says, well, that's nice, Scotty Hatcher. The man-child is an embarrassment. Brandon is right. We got to get our minds right. Hail State. Thank you, Keith Ferguson. Good morning from Dallas, Texas. Carolyn Crane Lindley. Sinbad, I didn't see that. Sorry, I didn't see SEC Country calling me out. On SEC Country Live? That's fine. I mean, I know it's heresy to say that Mississippi State possibly has a chance against Alabama. Not once have I said State's going to beat Alabama. But I have said State has a chance. I have said all that, and I'll continue to say it. This Alabama team doesn't scare me, and it shouldn't scare Mississippi State. These players should be walking around the halls of the Seal Complex thinking they're going to win and making preparations to win this football game. If they're not, what are we doing? Called you out for not fearing Alabama Georgia's podcaster. Well, that's Brandon Adams, and that's fine. People can call me out. I have no problem with Brandon Adams having that opinion, or anybody at SEC Country having that opinion. See, what SEC Country is, we're all a bunch of diehard fans. We're all a bunch of great fans. We're all a bunch of passionate fans. We agree sometimes. We disagree sometimes. We all love SEC football. I love Mississippi State. Donald Grantham says, beat Bama. Derek Channing Beach says, we are behind you. You can't win in fear. That's correct. You can't. Abby Lauren says, Mullen has never had a lead over Saban. State is due. That's correct. State is very due. Dickie Delishman, we have never played them with this good of a defense. That is also correct. Said that on the show yesterday. Brian Sisk says Brandon Walker for president. Thank you. Brandon, but do hashtag we believe we will win? I still don't have a problem 5 years later. That hashtag does not embarrass me. I'm still happy that hashtag happened. I thought it was a nice movement on social media. We got blown out by Alabama. So what? We did in 2013. We did in 2015. It happens. It didn't diminish how cool the We Believe campaign was. Confident in Champaign, Illinois. Hail State. Chris Smith checking in. Getting a bunch of people here today. Nice audience. So again, let me run down the show for you real quick. We're going to go with, I'm going to talk about the running game and how you don't ever want to have to run the ball. You know, that's not the way to beat Alabama, is running the football usually, but that's the way Mississippi State's going to have to beat Alabama. We'll talk about is this the best team Alabama's faced all year? Yes, it very much is. We'll talk about my little skirmish on Twitter yesterday with another representation of our fan base, unfortunately. We'll talk about my little skirmish on Twitter with Mr. Stingray. We'll talk about that today. And then we'll have another shot of Jack at the end. Another shot of Jack. So that'll be fun for all of us. Terp, you ready?
Yeah, but you never told me what order you want the Jack clips in.
Just surprise me.
Got it. Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, let's do it.
The More Cowbell Show, brought to you by SEC Country. And now, your host of the More Cowbell Show, Brandon Walker.
That's me, Brandon Walker. More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country, coming to you from the SEC Country studios here in beautiful Dunwoody, Georgia, suburb of Atlanta, up here on 285 North. Nice to be here. Left home at 6 o'clock this morning to get here in time. And you know what time I got here? 8:05. Took me 2.5 hours, or 2 hours and 5 minutes in Atlanta traffic. It was miserable. So all of you people in Mississippi right now watching me, all of you people in Mississippi checking out this podcast, just know that you're not going to drive as much in the next week and a half as I did today trying to get here through Atlanta traffic. It is, that's what life is now, I guess. You went to Ole Miss. You understand. You went to that awful town. You understand. So, today on the show, we're going to talk about running the football and how that's not usually how you want to beat the Alabama Crimson Tide. But guess what? That's how Mississippi State's going to have to try to beat the Alabama Crimson Tide. That's how Mississippi State is going to have to climb this mountain. And I think there's a path that it can happen. There is a path that this could happen. We'll also talk about Alabama from their point of view. We had Funny Man on here yesterday. I thought he did a great job on the podcast. But Greg McElroy of the SEC Network and Marcus Spears of the SEC Network, they both said this is the best team that Alabama has faced this year. Mississippi State will be the stiffest test for Alabama. And that is very, very, very correct. Couldn't be more correct. And I'm glad that those two SEC analysts could see that. You've got other guys on that network saying LSU is better just because, but these guys actually see that State's a better team than anybody Alabama's played yet this year. Third topic today, well. We'll talk about my little Twitter beef I had yesterday. I had a little row on Twitter. Had a little fracas. Yeah, got a little heated. More from the other side, but it got heated. And it was all about a gentleman who represents the Mississippi State fan base, and he has taken it upon himself to do that. And we will talk about that today. and we'll have a shot of Jack at the end of the show. So I think we've got a good show lined up. Certainly, we always have a good show, but I feel pretty good about this one. Holiday cash, you need it, and I know where to get it. MyBookie is the place to score serious cash on your sports predictions. Believe it or not, the holidays are right around the corner, and that means plenty of football. That means you can score big on every single day. Man up and play like the pros on game day. You can play the money line, side, or total. MyBookie is your hookup for all your betting needs and offers super fast payouts when you win. Where you bet is just as important as who you're betting on. And if you want to make money betting the games, you got to go to mybookie.ag. They're the only site I'd recommend. They have odds on every matchup on a mobile site that makes wagering on the go a breeze. Join now, and MyBookie will match your deposit with up to a 50% bonus. Use the promo code Cowbell. That's Cowbell for this show, more Cowbell, to activate your offer. Visit mybookie.ag today. You play, you win, you get paid. And won't that be fun for everybody? Mississippi State playing Alabama this weekend. Mississippi State trying to climb a mountain Dan Mullen has never been able to climb. Trying to get to a place Dan Mullen has never been able to get to at Mississippi State, and that is atop Alabama. That's beating Alabama. He's tried it 8 times, and he's come away with 8 losses. It's fine. I have no problem with it. I want that to happen. I want State to beat Alabama, but it's not like Alabama's getting beat every other week. Now, they're Alabama for a reason. And, if beating Alabama means throwing away the next 10 years of your future because of you had to pay for recruits to do it, then I don't want to go down that path. Anyway, that's just a little side joke for my Ole Miss friends out there because I know they're watching because they tweet at me every single day. But how do you beat Alabama? That's the question. And there is no set formula, and I don't care what people say. You look at the teams that beat them recently. Clemson beat them because Deshaun Watson is awesome. Ole Miss beat them in 2015 because they got 5 turnovers, most of them in the plus side of the field. Ole Miss beat them in 2014 because they were the better team that day, frankly. There wasn't a running thing, a passing thing. Overall, they just outplayed them. And you go back through the years, 2014, Ohio State had Ezekiel Elliott who went crazy, 200 yards in that game. I just don't think there is a formula. I don't think there's a blueprint to beat Alabama. You have to be really good. You have to be talented. You have to be kind of lucky. And you have to do what you do well. You have to do what you do as a team well. Ohio State with Urban Meyer's offense didn't come into that game and try to throw for 500 yards. Clemson didn't decide to put the game in the running back's hands. They used Deshaun Watson. Ole Miss, to their credit, didn't suddenly run the option. They did what they did well. That's how they beat Alabama twice in a row. What Mississippi State does well is run behind an offensive line who's been very good this year, run with some bruising running backs, and maybe the best running quarterback in the history of the league in Nick Fitzgerald. What State does well is 8 to 10 to 12 play drives. It's getting 4 and 5 yards at a pop running the football. It is consistently moving the chains with the run. That is what State does well. So you're not going to go into this game and pass for 250 yards. I don't care if your receivers are out or if they're not. Even if all receivers were healthy and above deck, even if they were all there, State's going to have to run the football to win this game. And State's going to have to run it well. Period. Now, I know Alabama's run defense is first in the SEC. It's almost always first in the SEC because they recruit elite defensive line talent. They recruit elite linebacker talent, and they recruit elite talent across the board. But especially at those 2 positions, those are the 2 positions they probably stocked the NFL with the most over the last few years. So running the football against Alabama is easier said than done. But that's who Mississippi State is. You got to be who you are to win this game. Who Mississippi State is I'm going to run the ball down your throat. And then Nick Fitzgerald might make a move on your linebacker and go 80 yards. Well, good news is Alabama's down to their 2nd and 3rd string linebackers at a lot of spots. They're not that experienced at linebacker in this game. That is a plus for Mississippi State. Nick Gibson, where's he at Saturday night? Where's Aries Williams? Colin Hill, all hands on deck as far as the running backs go. They need to all be there. I don't know who can break one. I don't know who's going to be the star of the game. But I know that State probably needs to run the ball 50 times in this game to win it. If they run it 50 times and rush for 75 yards, probably going to lose. But if LSU, with 2 freshmen starting on the offensive line, if LSU, with Danny Etling as quarterback offering no threat down the field, if LSU can go into Tuscaloosa and run for 200 yards, I feel like a much better running offense, a much better quarterbacked offense, a much better coached offense in Mississippi State can make some hay against this Alabama defense. And I've said all week, get your mind right. Don't just chalk this up as a blowout, and I maintain that. I maintain that there's nothing to be scared of in this game. Mississippi State can stand up to this team. A&M stood toe-to-toe physically with them. They didn't stand physically toe-to-toe with Mississippi State. LSU stood up physically to Alabama. They didn't stand up physically to Mississippi State. So Alabama has history on its side. They have recruiting on its side. They have all of that. But they haven't exactly mowed through competition this year. And their running defense hasn't exactly stuffed every team. They didn't stuff LSU. And I think Mississippi State has the horses. Mississippi State has the offensive line this year to move the football on the ground against Alabama. And that's how it's going to have to happen. When I say there is no set formula to beat Alabama, I think I'm right. There is no set formula to beat Alabama. However, there is clearly a set formula for how Mississippi State wins games. They win it with a running game, a good offensive line this year, and Nick Fitzgerald's legs. And anything you get in the passing game is a bonus and sets up the rest of the running game. So we'll talk about all that. Let's move to Alabama. Let's move to their side of the fence. Let's really look at their schedule. Let's really look at that schedule. Open with Florida State. Florida State's probably not going to make a bowl. They're probably a 5-7 team. Played Fresno State, played Colorado State. I mean, I guess halfway respectable non-conference opponents. I think they're going to play Mercer in a couple weeks. They played mighty Tennessee. They played Arkansas. They played Ole Miss. I mean, let's be honest. Half the teams they've beaten in the SEC this year are going to have new coaches next year. That's how good. I mean, it's serious. Arkansas is going to have a new coach. Ole Miss is going to have a new coach. Texas A&M probably going to have a new coach. I'm missing one. Tennessee definitely going to have a new coach. So when Greg McElroy and Marcus Spears go on SEC Network and say that this is the best team Alabama's faced this year, they're absolutely right. You know, as a Mississippi State fan, you can think, oh, we're going to get blown out because it's Alabama. You can think we're not going to score. You can think Dan Mullen can never beat Alabama. Think that all day long. The fact is, you're rooting for a team who is the best team Alabama's played all year. All right? Mississippi State is better than LSU. They're better than A&M. And both of those teams gave Alabama fits. Texas A&M lost by 8. LSU lost by 14 and outgained Alabama. Both of those teams stood up to Alabama. And State is better than both. So when McElroy, when Spears, when they say these things, they're absolutely right. Alabama is a better football team than Mississippi State. Let's get that out right now. There's no doubt about that. 100% of the people nationally are picking Alabama based on history. That's understandable. Based on recruiting, that's understandable. Based on what they've done this year, that's understandable. But I don't think anybody's really seeing the path to victory for Mississippi State. I don't think people are really seeing how tough this actually is going to be against for Alabama against Mississippi State. Bama hasn't walked into anywhere like Saturday night at Davis Wade Stadium this year. They played at Kyle Field when they were ready to fire their coach. No A&M fan or player expected to win that game. They expected to get blown out, and they were happy to get beat by 8. They're walking into 62,000, 63,000 people, cowbells at full throat. They're walking into a lion's den. It's going to be a madhouse. It's going to be lit, as they say, this Saturday night. This is the best opposing coach Alabama has faced this year. This is the best opposing quarterback Alabama has faced this year. This is their toughest road trip yet. All of this is in Mississippi State's favor. And people say, why aren't you scared of Alabama? What? Mississippi State's 0-8. They can't beat Alabama. You're always 0-something until you win, right? I mean, nothing about Mississippi State's history against LSU and the entire 100-year history of the program suggested State was going to win by 30 this year, but they did. I saw it. ESPN can ignore it all they want, but it happened. I just want State fans, this is like my continuing series right now. Get your mind right for Alabama, and I'm telling you, as a State fan, you're rooting for the toughest test to date for Alabama. That's who you're rooting for. And LSU stay with them, A&M stay with them. There's no reason Mississippi State won't. So yesterday, I guess I'll get off target a little bit. Yesterday, oh boy, after my show, I took to Twitter, and I saw a preview of a show called Tosh.0 on Comedy Central. And what Tosh was doing, he was interviewing a guy named Stingray. You guys know who he is? You guys know exactly what he brings to the table? And I said, after watching that preview, that I didn't think Stingray needed to be associated. I thought Mississippi State fans need to go ahead and cut ties. I thought that Mississippi State fans needed to stop having Stingray thrust forward as the face of this fan base. Because he's not. He's the self-appointed face of this fan base. Now, let me say this. Was I too direct? Maybe. Was I too forward? Possibly. Was I wrong? Probably not. I mean, here's the thing. I think there's a very good chance, and I don't know him, there's a very good chance Stingray is a very nice guy. It's probably a good guy. Seems like an innocent guy, naive even. And I think he loves Mississippi State. I think he believes in Mississippi State. I believe all of that. I think he's a big time State fan. He's passionate. But here's the thing. I'm all for that. I'm all for that. And this is not personal between me and him or me and anybody else. It's just Mississippi State. I love Mississippi State. And watching somebody get on a national TV show and sit there while the interviewer wears overalls, a straw hat, and a bandana, dropping subtle jokes, dropping subliminal jokes about Mississippi State, the South, and the SEC and all that. Watching somebody sit there wearing a Mississippi State jersey while having that done to them just rubs me the wrong way. It rubs me the wrong way. You can be a fan of Mississippi State, but to use it to advance your own brand, your own career, without regard to how it makes Mississippi State look, bothers me. It does. When this guy goes on these shows, and when this guy goes on all these remotes or whatever he goes on, shows, whatever. When he goes on these shows, he's never introduced as SEC enthusiast Stingray. He's never introduced as college football fan Stingray. It's always Mississippi State superfan Stingray with Mississippi State on his chest. When you do that, don't let somebody make fun of you. Don't let somebody wear a straw hat and bare feet and call you a hayseed. Don't let that happen. You're representing Mississippi State. And nobody elected him to do it. He's embarrassing Mississippi State for personal gain, period. I'm sure he's a nice guy. That's fine. I'm sure he's all that. I just self-awareness, man. Self-awareness. Mississippi State's already battling uphill. Mississippi State is already battling uphill. And going on Tosh.0 and allowing Tosh to make fun of you, to make fun of us, bothers me. It bothers me a lot. It will never not bother me. If I'm out of line, I'm sorry. But I don't think I am. And I think there's a lot more people in the Mississippi State fan base that think like I do. I think Bo Bounds put out a poll yesterday. Do you agree with everything that's happening around this guy? 1,100 people voted and 75% said no. I just think I'm trying to be very diplomatic. I think the 15 minutes should be up. That's what I think. He's made a name off of Mississippi State. He's gotten everything he has because of Mississippi State. And what is State getting out of this relationship? Can somebody tell me that? All right. Oh, see, I'm not trying to be. I don't like to be that guy. I don't like to be that guy. But frankly, there's a lot of guys in media. There's a lot of guys in our fan base. There's a lot of guys who are important who agree with me, but just won't say it. Just won't take the step that I'm taking right now. And I if I got to be the guy, I'll be it. That's fine. Doesn't bother me. And one last thing about this, and I want you to think about this. On Twitter, I said what I said yesterday. It was clearly a beef between Stingray and I on Twitter. 80% of the fans coming back at me, calling me a hater and calling me names and saying I was stupid. 80% of the fans that were supporting Stingray, they were Ole Miss fans, they were Alabama fans, they were Tennessee fans, they were Florida fans. They were not State fans. His fan base is not in Mississippi. What does that tell you? All right. Boy, oh boy. What do you think, Turt? We okay?
Yep.
Yeah. Dynamite drop in, buddy.
Thank you.
So let's get our minds right again. 10 years ago, Mississippi State went to a bowl for the first time in, I think, 7 decades. That's what it felt like at the time, anyway. 10 years ago, we were wandering in the football desert, and Sylvester Croom walked up and gave us 3 drops of water in our mouth, and we thought we were going to be filled for the rest of our lives. But, eventually that marriage came to an end. But those 3 drops happened in 2007 when Mississippi State beat Alabama and went to a bowl. And I thought that that win, 10-year anniversary of the last time we beat Alabama, let's go ahead and talk about it today. Let's go ahead and have a shot of Jack Crystal, the greatest to ever do it. The greatest to ever get on a microphone in college football. I don't care about the others. I don't care about the other greats they talk about on SEC Network. I don't care about all those. Jack Crystal's the greatest that ever did it. And 10 years ago, we beat Alabama for the last time. I guess, well, not in this decade, but yeah, 10 years ago was the last time we beat Alabama. Hopefully that streak ends this Saturday night. You got my Jack? You got my Jack poured over there? Is it ready?
Yes.
It is ready. So go ahead. How many clips we got? 3?
3.
Give me clip number 1.
The downs really are not of a great significance now. It's the time element, and Wilson was going to run with the football, and the Bulldogs are going to try to keep him in bounds, and they do at the 45-yard line in Mississippi State territory, but the clock now is down to 17 seconds. But he's in position to throw the old Hail Mary now.
This must be the end.
Another first down.
Titus
for
Brown's
Alabama
about to sack him.
in Mississippi State 47-yard line.
Titus Brown.
Tied as Wilson spiking the football with 14 seconds on the clock. It'll be a second down situation.
Titus Brown, Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Try to get about half of it in one play if they would like, and then try to throw it in the end zone, particularly if they could get it out of bounds, or they may just try to take a couple of shots at the end zone, but they put themselves in position to do it with a couple of plays.
Bulldogs have given up a lot of yardage on a couple of quick plays.
Well, it's a long clip.
Trying to prevent anything deep behind them. Keep everything in front of you, as the old adage
Told you
is.
it was.
14 seconds left in the ball game.
Come on, Titus.
And somewhere your defense has to make a stand over the next 2 plays or so. So Wilson will work from the shotgun again. He awaits the snap. He's got it. He's back to throw. He's looking. He's looking. He's being chased. He's hit and sacked.
Ah!
Wilson is sacked. Alabama cannot call timeout. This ball game is going to be over, and you can wrap it in maroon and white. Mississippi State 17, Alabama 12. Put this one in the record book. There's Bedlam at Davis Wade Stadium, Scottsdale.
Man, oh man, stop that one right there. If that doesn't get you going, I don't care, all right? If that doesn't get you going, stop watching this and stop listening to my show. If that doesn't fire you up, we're not friends. We can't be friends. If you're driving right now and you're not like going 85 because of the adrenaline, just pull over and turn my show off. If you're in your office and you didn't stand up and clap or something, turn my show off. Jack Crystal's the best. The best there ever was, and that was fun. You know, that 2007 season was the only good season under Kroom. It wasn't really that good of a season, but it was still, you know, we'd been waiting for it for a while. And that game, man, beating Alabama 17-12. We got 2 more clips from that game, though, right? Because there's one. I don't know where you've got it. I don't know if this next one or the next one. But there's one that's going to be even better than what we just played. So go ahead and play clip number 2.
Alabama would like to get the touchdown.
This is it.
And do they put it in the hands of their offensive lines and their running back, or do they try to throw the ball because they don't have another timeout?
I think they try to
throw
it.
Go to one running back set, 2 tight ends. Up underneath center goes Wilson. Wilson rolls back to throw. He throws it into the end zone. Intercepted. And bringing it out, Mississippi State. Up the sidelines and racing all the way down the sidelines. And what could be a touchdown for Mississippi State, it will be a touchdown for Mississippi State.
Anthony Johnson in the end zone. Bulldogs were all over Wilson, and he made an errant throw under pressure. And John Carrero, the Bulldogs, go over 100 yards down the field.
Wow. I mean, I can see it as clear as day. I can see it right now. Jack Crystal calling that. I can see Anthony Johnson hanging out in the end zone. I think Titus Brown, again, is who put the pressure on John Parker Wilson. He just floated it out there. And I wasn't there that day. I was in my front yard in Meridian, Mississippi, 3821 Causeyville Road at the time. I was in Meridian listening to the game, and I was listening to it in my Jeep in the front yard. Not sure why I was listening, because it was on TV. Oh, actually, I was listening to Jack and watching my TV through the window. That's what I was doing. That's what I liked to do back then. So I'm listening, and I'm watching, and I just take off running. As soon as he catches that ball, I take off running, and I think I ran as far as he did. That was that Anthony Johnson play, probably the most famous play of the Kroom era, if I had to guess just off the top of my head. I can't think of another play. Maybe Jarius Norwood against Florida winning that game with a 37-yard rushing touchdown. But I would think Anthony Johnson, that's probably the most famous play of the Kroom era. So I'm guessing clip number 3. I don't know. We've already wrapped it. We've already got Anthony Johnson. I don't know what the clip number 3 from that game could be. Go ahead.
Wide side of the field to the right, to the opposite side. To the short side, they send Brandon McRee. Put a wing back long. Work it off the right side. Bulldogs slam it to the goal line and score with Anthony Dixon on the carry.
Great job of blocking that right side. They had a double wing out there with a fullback and a tight end, and Eric Butler and Eric Hoskins. And that right side of the Bulldog offensive line did a great job. They got the push. They gave the seam, and Dixon plunged it into the end zone, and Mississippi State scored with just seconds left to go in the first half. And now early in the second half, on their first possession, they take it in after another interception.
Yeah, so Anthony Dixon scores a touchdown. I think that was the final touchdown of the game for Mississippi State. You know what? I feel like people like my show. I feel like people like watching this show. They like interacting. They like listening to the podcast. I think people like what Brandon Walker brings to the table. But let's be honest. If I just sat here and listened to Jack Crystal quotes all day, Jack Crystal clips for 30 minutes every single day, I'd get like 10,000 listens a day. I'd get 20,000 listens. I'd be the most popular Mississippi State guy in the world, and it had nothing to do with me. You just can't get enough Jack Crystal in your life. And it's been 3 years since he's been gone, and as long as I got a show, I'm going to be playing these clips. I don't care if I play the same clips over and over and over because I love it. Just hearing that voice makes everything seem right in the world. That's the one voice. Oh, boy, that was fun. I enjoyed that. Somebody says goosebumps. Bonnie Williamson Gable says goosebumps on the Facebook Live. All right, tomorrow I'll be back. Facebook Live, 10:45 in the morning. On this podcast, we'll be back talking about Mississippi State and Alabama. I'll be getting your mind right once again. I'll be getting your mind right, getting you focused to see if Mississippi State can finally beat Alabama. Until then, on the podcast, you've been listening to More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Nobody really cares about Brandon Walker at this point. Just play more Jack Crystal. That's all people really care about. That's all people care about. And I understand that. That's all I care about. Would I rather hear Jack Crystal or Brandon Walker? I'd rather hear Jack Crystal. Listening to that voice brings back the greatest memories, says Cameron Crockett. Chad Mass says Jack is the man. Britt Ezel says, how do you get the clips and how would we be able to get them? So I just got the clips, like sixpackspeak.com just had the list of clips a long time ago, and I like favorited it. I think it's 37 clips. That's what I've been playing it from. Kenny Manning had a lot of memories sitting on the porch at deer camp listening to Jack call the game. I'm sure there are a lot of guys out there that have done the same thing, done the exact same thing. We never had a deer camp, but I can remember being on the creek, getting ready to check trout lines, listening to Mississippi State play Tennessee in 1986, and Don Smith took off running. Jack Crystal started yelling, and my dad threw the boat in the water. That's what I remember. My dad was not well, though. Brian McElroy says, good show. Can we get a statue of him on campus? I think we really do need a Jack Crystal statue. We do need a Jack Crystal statue. Why don't we have one? We definitely should have one of those. We definitely should have that. I watch West Point football, listen to Bud Bowen, did the same with Jack, a legend for sure. Hello, Matt Weisinger. Good to see you. Tim Doss said that. West Point football, West Point, Point City, also with one of the great to what Jack Crystal is to college football announcing, Bud Bowen is to high school announcing, and I think that's the highest of compliment. That man does deserve a statue. Anthony Garrison says that. Abby Lauren says we need a Dak Prescott statue too. Agreed. A Dak and Jack statue. Maybe Dak looking one way, Jack looking the other. I have no problem with that. Fire it up. Fire it up. Thank you, Britt. So, let's see. We got about 8 minutes left before they cut me off. I wasn't able to look at your comments during the third segment there where we talked about the Tosh thing. What do you guys think? Am I being too harsh? Am I being a jerk? It's fine if I am, but just let me know. Am I being a jerk about that? What about a Brandon Walker statue? Not enough bronze on this earth for that. Not enough bronze. It would be a beautiful statue, though. I think that one's going to be in Point City. Dak and Jack, what a drink that would be. Glenn Duncan. It's pretty good, Glenn. Shannon Goodwin Harris has her tickets for Saturday. Hail State. All right, everybody's agreeing with me on the Tosh thing. I'm sure the guy's a nice guy. I can't say that enough. I'm sure he's a nice guy. But, yeah. No, I mean, I don't know what I can say without really being a jerk. It's just time. It's been 2 years, right? It's just time to move on. What about a Jackie Sherrill statue? Not a terrible idea. I would definitely rank them in order. I would say Jack, Dak, Jackie. I might even slip Dan in front of Jackie. That show was an embarrassment to Mississippi State and the SEC and the South as a whole. I just don't know how you sit there and continue with the interview when the guy walks out in an overall and bare feet and a straw hat. I don't know how you continue with it at that point. I wouldn't. The powers that be should call Stingray on the carpet. So I don't know how much I can. No, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. I don't know. Yeah. Discretion. Discretion is what I'm using right now. Stingray was funny initially, but it has turned into a joke about State. He needs to move on. There comes a point you have to realize it's a joke. No one is taking you seriously. I would have punched Tosh in the face, Justin Burford. Yeah. I mean, Tosh knew what he was doing. No, Derek, I'm not going to say it. Not going to say it. Jack, Dakota, and Bully sitting on a bench. Beautiful. Shame of it is, though, Jack never got to call a Dak game, right? Didn't Jack retire in 11? So there was never any overlap with Jack and Dak. Boy, those would be memories, wouldn't they? That would take you back. Listen to me, I'm such a hack. But I got a knack for saying stuff like this. Let me get back on track. That's all I got. That is all I got. I know. Show's off the rails. The show is whack.
That's enough of that.
Get off my back. Look at him trying to attack. Anyway. Sorry, Wayman Hodge. I apologize. Bonnie Williamson Gable says Dan the man needs a statue. You know, if he stays a couple more years, maybe. We're not really a statue building type. There's not a statue on campus right now. Is there a statue of anybody on campus? I know I'm probably just missing it. Is there a statue of anybody on campus? I know there's a bully statue. I know there's definitely a statue. I guess you could call that a statue, a sculpture maybe. A bully there in the junction. What's your score Saturday night? If I had to guess, I'd say Alabama 17-13. But I'm not discounting State's ability to win this football game. There's a military statue, Lee. Okay, yeah. There's that statue. But we don't have any athletic statues, though, right? We don't have any statues of anybody, really. Although, are they building one for the baseball? Are they building one of Clark and Palmero for the baseball field? Seems like I remember that in the early plans. I'm not sure if it stayed in the plans. Did you see the picture AC put on Facebook grouping Stingray, Steve Robertson, you, and Hey Dad? Yeah, I saw it. I mean, there's no point in talking about it. So, yeah, I saw it. Building one of Itty Bitty. So, Morgan Williams statue. Not the worst idea. We should just build like 100 statues. Just have an entire field of statues, like just surrounding Davis Wade Stadium. Like if you played in the last 5 years, you get a statue. A Bumpus statue. We can do a Bumpus statue, couldn't we? Can we do a show of Chad Bumpus? It's only got to be like 4'9". Surely we can afford that. What about a Ring of Honor? I don't know. Good question. They haven't contacted me about being on the Ring of Honor yet, but I'm sure they will soon. After we play Alabama, we will be the only team to have played 3 teams in the top 10. Yeah, nobody really talks about how crappy of a break we got on the schedule. There are 7 teams in the SEC East. 6 of them we beat by 21 points or more. And the only one we wouldn't is the one we played. Is the one that was our non-Kentucky opponent this year. We could have called any of the other 6 and been fine, and we called Georgia. Nick Bell, Anthony Dixon. So it's all about statues here. It's all about statues. Still ranked number 16 in the college football playoff poll. I'm fine with that. I am definitely fine with that. We just didn't play well. We were 16 last week, didn't play well at all. We allowed teams to jump us. Play well this week, we'll be okay. Hail State, we can win, says John Evans. I agree with you. Mississippi State can win this football game. Period. Mississippi State can beat Alabama this Saturday night. Will it happen? I don't know. But Mississippi State possesses the ability to beat this Alabama team. Because I don't think this Alabama team's elite. I don't think this is a national championship team. They haven't looked good against the 2 Power 5 teams they played with a winning record. They just haven't looked all that good. I'm not sure they can beat Georgia in Atlanta. In fact, that game were tomorrow, I'd pick Georgia. Hail State, stay positive. Thank you. Jarvis Bernardo. Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. Get Bumpus or Anthony Dixon on the show. I could try to get Anthony Dixon. I don't think I can get Bumpus. Bumpus is coaching at the University of Buffalo now, so I don't think the University of Buffalo would let one of their assistant coaches come on the show. But what do I know? Go Bulldogs. Georgia Bulldogs, 10-0. Are you a Georgia fan? Is a Georgia fan in here? Georgia Bulldogs, 10-0. Go Dogs. Why is there a Georgia fan in here? Who left the Georgia? Is this left over from the show earlier? Give me 2 hand claps and a Ric Flair. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that at all. Hail State from Jacksonville, Florida. Thank you, Luke Hemphill, for being here. Britt Ezel says 6-3 Mississippi State, and David Gilker says I was there for the 6-3 game and we'll be there Saturday night. Always believe. I agree. Always believe. No doubt about that. I'm just waiting for that music to hit. Isn't that music going to hit soon over there?
Yep.
Yep. When's that music going to hit?
Probably
Cesar, come
8
here.
seconds.
Come here. Come here. Come here. Apologize for being on the show.
Apologize for Brandon being on the show.
You may go. All right. If you thank you for being here. I appreciate you taking time to watch this show. I appreciate you listening to the show. We'll be back tomorrow, 10:45 a.m. Central Time, and we'll definitely have a good time. I'll get your mind right for Alabama, and we'll do the thing we always do, and we won't go on Tosh and embarrass Mississippi State. That's what we're not going to do. Till next time, my name is Brandon Walker. You've been watching More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country.